Existe vida após a morte? Uma pergunta antiga. Na Universidade de Virgínia, em Charlottesville, cientistas investigam alegações de reencarnação. Há 40 anos, tentam explicar relatos de crianças que falam de uma vida passada. Histórias como desta garota que diz ter morrido afogada e que reencarnou. Ou deste garoto de 6 anos que era policial em Nova York e foi morto em serviço. Ou deste garoto que lembra viver como seu próprio avô. Há milhares de histórias assim, e o Dr. Jim Tucker reuniu muitas delas.
We're investigating cases of very young children who spontaneously begin talking about previous lives. They usually begin between the ages of 2 and 3 and continue until the age of 5 or 6. We're looking at these cases to learn as much as possible about this phenomenon.
Jim Tucker prepara uma viagem para encontrar um de seus casos. Uma criança que lembra de uma vida passada.
Gus Ortega is a little boy in Colorado who has talked about being his grandfather. This began when he was 18 months old, and he's made a number of statements that seem quite specific. This one is a stronger case because the child has made some very specific statements that it seems very unlikely he could have heard through normal means.
O caso de Gus é só um entre muitos.
We've been studying these cases for the last 40 years. We've now collected over 2,700 cases like this. These cases have been found all over in Asia, in West Africa. They've been found in South America, in Europe, and the United States, pretty much wherever they've been looked for.
Jim está prestes a visitar um desses casos. Ele está indo para a Flórida para ver um menino que diz ter sido um policial em Nova York morto em um tiroteio.
When I was big, I was a police officer. I walked into a store one night. They were bad guys, too. They shot me dead.
Give me your money now.
Pensacola, a casa de Maria Hagdorn. Ela tem 2 filhos, Mia, de 2 anos, e Ian, de 5 anos. Ian está muito doente.
What kind of dress do you like to wear, Mia?
Seu filho sofre de uma rara doença do coração. Quando se esforça demais, fica sem ar e desmaia. Idas ao cardiologista são frequentes. A observação é obrigatória. Ian sofreu 6 cirurgias antes de fazer 4 anos.
He was a big, healthy 8.5-pound baby, and they took him off. They said to take a bath, give him a bath. And they never came back. Over an hour went by, so I sent my husband off to find the baby. And he came back quite a bit later with 2 doctors, and they were all crying, very visibly shaken, which I knew that the news was not good.
Disseram que Ian não sobreviveria um dia. Só uma cirurgia de emergência o salvaria. 6 horas após nascer, Ian sofreu uma grande cirurgia.
Ian had underdevelopment of the pulmonary valve, which is the artery right here we see in this drawing. And that caused the right side of his heart not to develop as well. And what that leads to is a lack of oxygen in his blood. So it's a condition where he is essentially suffocating because not enough oxygen is delivered to the brain and to the rest of the body.
A cirurgia correu bem. Após 9 horas, os médicos repararam a válvula. Mas o subdesenvolvimento do lado direito do coração levaria tempo e mais cirurgias. A vida de Ian ainda corre risco. O que traz Jim aqui é um evento que ocorreu 1 ano antes de Ian nascer.
My dad was a police officer, and he walked into Radio Shack, and he could tell something was going on. 2 guys up at the front desk pulled a machine gun out of their overcoat and pointed it at the manager. And my dad pulled his revolver and said, "Drop your weapons, I'm a police officer." And somebody was shooting him quite immediately after he said that. Or told people get lightheaded.
Jim e Maria revêem a autópsia do pai. A causa da morte se destaca para quem a lê. Seu pai morreu devido a uma artéria pulmonar rompida causada por um tiro. A mesma artéria que faz Ian sofrer. Mas algo mais estranho aconteceu.
The first time was when he was about 3, and I was doing some work in my office, and he was making quite a bit of noise, and I had threatened him with a spanking if he didn't quiet down. And he stood there and looked at me and said, "When you were a little girl and I was your daddy, lots of times you were bad and I never spanked you." Which just kind of blew me away. He didn't get a spanking.
Ian começou a falar mais sobre o avô.
Growing up, we had 2 cats, a black cat and a white cat, and the black cat was Maniac, and the white cat was Boston. So one day I was doing something, and Ian came over to me, and he said, "Mom, when you were a little girl and I was your daddy, what was my cat's name?" And I said, "Maniac?" And he said, "No, the white one." And I said, "Boston?" And he said, "I used to call him Boss, right?" So he knew the color of the cats, and he knew the nickname that only my dad used to call Boston.
Maria tem muitas histórias como esta de Ian. Ela está convencida de que Ian é seu pai reencarnado. Não são só as histórias, mas também a prova física. A correlação entre a doença e a lesão mortal do pai removeu todas as dúvidas.
Much of these cases often involves memories and statements and behaviors. The birthmarks are something that's completely objective, and it's something that is beyond memory or beyond chance.
Talvez a memória de Ian o engane. Talvez o que diz esteja ligado ao avô por mero acaso. Mas a combinação de memória e prova física é muito convincente.
I didn't want to go back, but God just gave me to you.
God gave you to your mom,
Yes.
even though you didn't want to come back?
O caso de Ian Hagdorp exige a pergunta: o que significam todas essas provas?
There are obviously huge questions here which we haven't even begun to try to answer, such as, is there a soul? If so, what does that term even mean? How does it get carried over from one life to the next? When you look at all these cases, you can certainly focus on the weaknesses if you choose to. But I think there's also enough here so that if you choose, you can step back and say that there may just be something remarkable going on.
Se o Dr. Tucker estiver certo, as lembranças de todas as crianças podem significar que a morte pode ser apenas um caminho para uma outra vida.